Welcome to another episode of Satchats Short Stacks. I'm your host, Chris. I've got Stuart, my co-host, here with me. He's got his sunglasses on for all the reasons that he says at the beginning of every episode. Okay, Bitcoin laser eyes, your protection. Got it. Today, we have a request from one of our YouTube subscribers, which, by the way, you should become a YouTube subscriber, because if you do, you could win 1 million sats. Just follow along any of our episodes. You'll find out how. But at Pallets commented, I'd love to hear a deep dive in the future episode about the thought process of adopting a Saylor-esque approach and implementing a Bitcoin treasury for Ithaca, and what that process would look like. And this is something that I've given a lot of thought to. And God, frankly, one of the reasons why I got so excited to start a new company, because I could just roll right into Satchats with the Bitcoin treasury from day one, which we've done. But
So let's break that down into three steps.
Okay.
And first of all, thanks to @Pallets for such a nice comment, a nice request. Thank you for engaging with us in that way. So we're going to talk step one. What would it literally take for Ithaca Hummus to get some Bitcoin? Step two, what would that mean for the company? Step three, what is Michael Saylor really doing with strategy? And could you, in fact, follow along? So let's start off with step one. What would you literally need to do as the CEO and founder of Ithaca Hummus in order to get yourself some Bitcoin?
Well, the first thing is we'd want to get board approval. Always a good idea when you've got a board. Technically, I'd have to look at our operating agreement. I'm not sure that I need board approval. So, I've got the controlling interest, so I'm pretty sure I could just go ahead and do it. But then it's like, why do you have a board? So I'd want to get board approval for sure.
Okay.
If nothing else, just to seek the group conscience and give myself a challenge of like, if I can convince these people, then I know, then I can just move forward with even more confidence in this decision.
Okay. So you get your board approval, then what happens next?
Then I would imagine we would probably want to set up some kind of a multi-sig exchange wallet type deal. Casa would probably be a great solution, because you do, like Jameson Lopp shared with us on his episode, you do want to eliminate any single point of failure risk, especially when you're talking about a large amount of capital and a company that's got multiple shareholders.
What type of approach would Ithaca take? Would you dollar cost average your operating capital into Bitcoin? Would you go full Chris mode and smash?
It'd probably be a combination. We would probably if we decided to do it today, we'd probably smash quite a bit, because it's well below its all-time high. So I would probably smash by some portion or percentage, 20-30%, let's just say, of the total action that we wanted to bring onto our balance sheet. Then I would set up a recurring dollar cost average for the rest, similar to what we've done here at Satchats.
Okay. Step two is, well, what would that mean? What would that do for Ithaca Hummus?
Well, aside from the obvious financial opportunity, which I'll talk about in just a second, there would still be a PR angle. I think that we could announce a Bitcoin standard that we're adopting as, maybe we would be the first CPG brand to adopt a Bitcoin standard.
Ooh.
And I think that's cool.
What does CPG mean?
CPG is consumer packaged goods.
Basically, does that mean like you could potentially be the first thing you would buy in a grocery store that's backed by Bitcoin?
Yeah. That would be pretty cool.
And what was that financial opportunity that you said you were going to talk about in a little bit? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, we have capital reserves today on our balance sheet. We've got it's not a cash balance, but it's a balance that we have invested, and we make a return on that investment. So first of all, we'd be allocating a significant amount of those resources into Bitcoin. So whatever happens to the price of Bitcoin, we'd be along for that ride, which historically would be a very good thing if we had been doing that over the past 2, 3, 4, 5, however many years. We know now, looking back, that we would have way outperformed any other asset class, any other investment that we could have made with that. The other thing that we could do is something that we do here at Satchats, which is use our Bitcoin as collateral. And you might look at that and say, well, Bitcoin-backed loans tend to be a little bit more expensive in terms of the interest that they charge. There is about 50% loan to value ratio that they're looking for. So you have to post double the amount of Bitcoin that you want cash, but that doesn't really matter to you if you only need less than half of your cash to operate with. And in our case, we don't need any of it. So we could keep it all invested. And if we need to draw cash out, we wouldn't need to sell Bitcoin like we would have to sell a security that we own. We could just collateralize the Bitcoin and go out and get a loan against it. And assuming Bitcoin increases in value at more than 15%, which I would expect that it will, it's basically like free money. And in the worst case, and in best case, you're actually earning money on assets that you've got pledged as collateral, which is a pretty unique thing.
So step 1, make it happen. Step 2, watch the results flood in. Step 3, become like the Chad Michael Saylor. Do you think that Ithaca Hummus could go where the Chad Michael Saylor has gone?
He had a good amount of first mover advantage in what he did, because before MicroStrategy, it was a time before the ETFs. So there were things like 401ks, pension funds, state funds, federal funds that just couldn't access Bitcoin. They weren't legally allowed to own it. So what MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor did was created financial products through financial engineering, I think is what he actually calls it, that allowed these institutions and investors to get in on some of the action. So I think the question is there room for how many MicroStrategies are actually needed in the financial world per nation state? After a while, I think it's going to start losing its novelty and its luster. Now, as a CPG company, that means that two things. Number one, it means that we have a product that people can go to the grocery store and pick up and literally consume. That kind of gives it a new angle, like what can you go buy that MicroStrategies produces? Nothing. So that could be a reason why we might have success if we were to go public and we were to leverage our Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin, like Strategy does. Another reason is, I think if you looked at MicroStrategy right now, like what do they even still do besides buy Bitcoin? I don't think there's really a whole lot left to their original like operations that they were a software company, right? Like, are they even still doing that? I'm not sure. So what would make Ithaca Hummus different if we were to do something like this is we've got a business model that is growing like crazy, profitable. And when you combine a profitable growing business model with the impact that Bitcoin would have on the balance sheet, I think that's a pretty powerful combination that could, have some presents some great opportunity for retail and institutional investors.
You are growing. So it's kind of like MicroStrategy took all its fiat momentum and converted it into Bitcoin momentum. You would be offering investors Bitcoin momentum and fiat momentum because you're making money.
Mm-hmm.
You're selling hummus.
Yeah.
So very interesting thought exercise. And we hope that at Pallets is satisfied with that here from Chris.
But if you're not, I mean, keep the comments coming. We love to hear your questions and respond to them.
And let us know what topics you want us to cover in these short stacks.
I think that's all we've got for now. And how do we close the show, Stuart?
So start off with remember. See if hit him with remember.
Yeah, remember. Satchats short stacks is for educational purposes only. You just had to get me started. You knew that. And should not be construed with financial advice. And Stuart's views are his own. Okay, our guest. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.